Guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about medical coding being a specialty coder. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Okay, guys. So if you want to be a specialty coder, is there something that you have to do? Is there something special that you have to do? This message, this comment on my channel inspired today's episode. So I'm going to read it and we're going to get into it. So here we go. The viewer says, what is your suggestion for someone who wants to do obstetrics and gynecology specialty coding? What is your suggestion as to where to start? I'm not really good at the whole self-study. Guys, don't say this to me. Do not say this to me. Why? Because this field, medical coding, is going to require you to self-study. Whether you feel like you're not good at it or not, it's something that needs to be done, okay? It's something that needs to be done. This is not a negotiable. This is medical coding. This requires us to know what doctors know while never having gone to medical school. I'm not telling you so that you can be afraid and you can think that maybe you can't do this. You can. People who have no experience in medical do this all the time. I had no experience in medical before I got into this, but it is just a need to study. So if you're already thinking that garbage thinking, you need to knock it off. Okay, just knock it off because it's going to waste your time. All right? Stop thinking that. You will have to self-study, period. And then they go on to say, I feel like I do need a program with structure as to have someone teaching me what I need to learn, study, and then take such an exam. I'm coming from the mortgage background and for the last 30 years, but I have also worked in healthcare, so I'm familiar with the EHR, medical terminology, etc. So I feel like that's kind of a step ahead. Even though you have that kind of step ahead, it will kind of help you in some things, but trust me, there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to be learning, and it's going to be way more in-depth than you ever believed, you ever could have imagined, all right? And that's first of all. And the thing about it is when you are a brand new medical coder or you are thinking about getting into coding and you say, well, I would really like to do psych or I would really like to do obstetrics and gynecology. It is not about, I'm going to be a specialty coder. First of all, you don't even know the industry yet. You don't know anything about it as far as like the specialties and going in and things like that. Maybe you might have worked someplace, but that's not when you're learning, that is not what you need to be learning. If you don't know coding yet, you need to learn everything. And we are not like doctors in the fact that, you know, doctors, when they're going to medical school, they have an idea of what kind of specialty they want to do. Emergency medicine, OBGYN, you know what I mean, orthopedics. They do that there. That is those doctors. They do that. We, as medical coders, do not do that. We have to learn everything because you don't know where your first job is going to be. And while you may think that you like to code for mother baby, guess what happens? When you first start out, you may not be able to get a job in an OBGYN clinic. But even if you did, great, that's awesome, that's good. But let's not keep ourselves without options. And you get like that by being closed-minded. And I want to be an obstetrics and gynecology coder. I have done orthopedics coding for the last, 13 years, right? Full-time orthopedics coding and podiatry coding. I've done that for the last 13 years. Do I consider myself just an orthopedic specialty coder? No, absolutely not, because I've done everything. I've done all specialties. And when you, in this industry, in health information medical coding, when you have lots of experience and you have lots of different specialties that you've done, you have more opportunities to go anywhere. In my hospital, I'm the one that they call in for help. If they need help in a different specialty or whatever. I have rescued the pulmonary clinic. I have rescued the neurology clinic. I've also rescued the rheumatology clinic and several other clinics that I've rescued. I've helped to support the emergency department coders. I've also done, of course, inpatient professional services. I've done that. I've done same-day surgeries. I've done nearly every single specialty there is known in the hospital. The only one I have not done is interventional radiology, only because I just never have been given the opportunity to do that. However, I know I could do it if I was presented with the opportunity to do it. I could certainly do it. But the thing about it is, when you're coming in, you don't need to already be pigeonholing yourself into, oh, well, I want to do OBGYN coding, like you're thinking like doctor-wise, like how they have to get so specialty in what they do. You need to know everything. And so that way, when you do, if you do end up getting into OBGYN coding, then you're going to know about all these things. Because why? Lots of different conditions affect mothers, right? Lots of them. Diabetes, obesity, all these other things. It affects a lot of these mothers. And what I mean by diabetes is sometimes they're coming in with type 2, and sometimes they have gestational diabetes. So there's lots of things that happen and changes to mothers when they're pregnant. Sometimes they get hypertension, and sometimes it's just when they're pregnant, so they have like preeclampsia, but they don't have hypertension normally, okay? And sometimes they have hypertension already, and then, that kind of thing. So it really all depends on what's going on. But the only way that you're going to be able to understand that and know the difference is if you are trained on everything. So it is important that when you're coming in, let's not get pigeonholed into, oh, I want to do psych coding, or I want to do OBGYN coding. No. We need to learn everything first, okay? That's the first thing. The second thing is this. What the person said was that they need a teacher to teach them, because they can't do self-study. Okay, first of all, you can do self-study. You can. And if you think that, oh, no, I'm not like that, blah, blah, blah. Guys, it's to set you up for success. If I'm going to sit here and be all milly-mally and, oh, it's so sweet and so kind and so, oh, yes, it's going to be this way. No, y'all don't listen to me then. But if I'm direct with you and tell you that you will self-study, then, oh, okay, well, I guess I can self-study. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. But believe it or not, that message has just offended a bunch of people. And if it offends you, nothing I can do. Not a thing I can do for you, other than to wish you well. That's it. But guys, this field requires you to do self-study. And it requires you to not come in thinking like this person's thinking, oh, I want to do just this. That may be what you would like to start doing, which is great. But don't pigeonhole your way into like, only that's it. And I only have to learn the OBGYN codes. No, you're going to have to learn everything. Okay, because there's a time before and there's a time after this pregnant mother is delivered. Okay, and so you're going to have to know those things. And you know that by getting well-rounded with all of the specialties and all of, anything that you're being taught in school. Now, sometimes when you go to school for medical coding, whether you go in person or whether you are doing an online program, and sometimes they have an instructor, okay? Even though you may have an instructor, it does not necessarily mean that that instructor will teach you. I know that may be foreign to some of you, but it is the truth. There are teachers that get involved with the schools. Some of them have never been coders. They just have a credential or they have a degree. They have not coded in the real world since ICD-10 kicked in, which was in October of 2015. But because they have experience in coding, they just give them a book to teach from. Some teachers will not teach you critical thinking. They will teach you exactly what is in the book, and that's it. They will not prepare you for the real world. Okay? So you don't really know. The best defense for that, though, is like, okay, well, I need a teacher to teach me. Yes, okay, you need a teacher to teach you. Then when you are going to these schools, to like whether it's a local college, ask them to speak to the instructor. And when you're speaking to the instructor, you ask them, when was the last time you coded in the real world? How do you feel about questions when people are asking you lots of questions? How many students do you have? Because that's also going to affect how fatigued they get from answering questions. Because some people just do not listen. Some people don't listen. I have said messages very clearly on my channel, and I will get messages afterward on my email. I don't know where the heck you got that from. A lady sent me a message and she said that she's interested in my paid internship program. Excuse me? When did I ever freaking say that I have a paid internship program? Really? I have never even said that. I've never even alluded to that. I don't even have a school. I am not part of a school. I'm not part of any of those things. But you see how people just make stuff up? It really? But that's the same thing with these teachers, right? Sometimes, especially when these teachers they're teaching large groups, it is very hard to get that one-on-one specialty attention, okay? It is very hard. But what you want to do to combat that is to ask them how many students they have in their class and what is a reasonable method for you to get your questions answered. Is it when you're having a live class, or is it better to send them an email? What is the turnaround time when they are getting emails from you when you're asking questions? What is the fastest way to get their attention? Is it during class or is it after class? What is it? Okay. And then again, you're going to ask them, when was the last time they were coding in the real world, and what did they code for? It does make a huge difference to know what your instructor used to code for. You're not asking these questions to question their ability to teach you. Certainly not. What you're asking them for is so that you have an idea of what kind of knowledge base they're coming in with. Because if they only did like physical therapy coding, then that means they're not really going to understand a whole lot, maybe about the evaluation and management. They're not really going to understand that a whole lot. And let me pause this video because I don't want y'all to keep hearing this vehicle out here. Hold on one second. Okay, so I'm back now. But yes, so that's what you want to ask them. What specialty did they code for? Because that's going to give you a good idea of their flexibility. If they said, hey, I did evaluation and management coding, and I did this in the emergency department, that's going to help you to know, okay, somebody with emergency department experience is going to be well versed in a lot of different specialties, because that's what comes in to the emergency department. It's anything from a cold to laceration, broken bones, car accidents. Those types of things come into the emergency department. So they see everything, and that's somebody that's strong in a lot of different things as far as coding wise, injuries, that kind of thing, or even just like cardio conditions, neurological conditions. So there's lots of things that they see in the ER. So that would be very helpful for you to know that. If they said they coded for surgeries, great, because then that's even more complex stuff that they did, okay? And so you want to learn from somebody like that. You want to learn from somebody who gets it, okay? So that is very important. Now, if they seem irritated because you're asking these questions, this is not a one-time event. That means that they're going to be irritated with you every single time you come in and you're asking questions. They're going to get irritated for no reason, okay? So again, like I said, this is a great test because you're giving this school thousands of dollars. You have every right to interview the instructor. And some of them, you'll see that they really love this field, and you can tell right away that they really love what they do. And so if that's the case, then you can get really lucky in that point, okay? But it also is going to take some personal responsibility to self-study. And now, what happens if you get into a school and the teacher's not teaching you and you're just getting frustrated and you want to give it up? Don't give it up. Don't give it up, because people get called into this field because I always say medical coding found me. It might have found you too, okay? So what happens is when you have this type of situation and you say, well, I'm really stuck, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm getting frustrated, you need to find a mentor. A mentor will help you for free. You can go on LinkedIn, you can ask, will somebody mentor me? Please don't ask me to mentor you because I don't have the bandwidth right now to do that. And plus, all the videos on my channel, trust me, there's a video out there to answer your questions. I have tons of advice videos, okay? Tons. And I've got other things that I've talked about on here as well. So you have plenty of resources on my channel. Just look through the videos, okay? That's all it takes is to look through the videos. But you can ask on LinkedIn. You'll find lots of people that are willing to give you their time for free to answer your questions. But if you feel like you need to invest some money and get a private tutor, then that's what you have to do. A private tutor is somebody that can help you to understand what it is that you're getting confused on in your schoolwork, okay? They cannot give you the answers, but what they're going to do is they're going to walk you through whatever the question is or whatever is going on, in this particular scenario. So they can help you with that. That's what I do as well, because I'm a tutor myself. My rate and contact is in the description box below. But again, you could always go on LinkedIn. You can ask, does anybody have any recommendations on tutors? And you'll see a lot of people recommending this person or that person, okay? But it's an investment, okay? And just like finding a good doctor, finding a good tutor can sometimes take a few to go through, okay? But you want to make sure that you are very clear on what it is that you need from this tutor. And don't expect the tutor to give you assignments to do, because that's not what tutors do. Tutors explain to you what it is that is confusing you or what you're getting hung up on, okay? That's what they do. At least that's just what I do anyway. And no, I don't tell people that they need to book this X number of visits with me. I don't know you and I don't know your knowledge base. So I would never presume to tell anybody that you need to have X amount of sessions with me. I leave that to the person. You decide what it is that you want as far as tutoring wise goes, and then you let me know. But I will say that the minimum booking for a tutoring session is 1 hour, okay? It is 1 hour, and there are no refunds for partial or missed sessions, okay? If you miss your session, there is a rebooking fee with me, okay? But that's that's neither here nor there. The fact is that when you're coming in and you're learning this, you don't need to be concentrating on being the specialty coder right out of the gate, okay? You also do not need specialty credentials for coding. Employers are looking for the CCS, the CCA, the CCSP, or the CPC. The CCS, the CCA, and the CCSP are all with the American Health Information Management Association. The CPC is with the American Academy of Professional Coders. These are the 4 main credentials in medical coding that employers are looking for. You do not have to be a specialty coder. I know that there are specialty credentials out there, but I challenge you to look at your local paper, right, or in the job listings, and you look and see if is anybody asking for that specialty credential, and you will see that they are not. They are looking for only one of these 4. You only need one. And I always tell brand new medical coders that you just need one credential for the first 2 years. You do not need to get all of these credentials, because more credentials is doing nothing but saying to this employer that this person has put out more money. Especially when they're not going to pay you extra money for having all of these other credentials. They're not. All they're going to do is tell you, oh, you're going to get the same thing as somebody that is starting new without experience, because you have no experience. So getting all these credentials will not help you. I don't care what anybody says, because there will be plenty of people saying, oh no, this and that my teacher said. Don't you think that your teacher gets some kind of incentive for making students take credentials that they don't even need? You don't even have experience. Why would you need all these additional credentials? I had one credential for 13 years. 13. And I surpassed people with degrees. I surpassed nurses when it came to salary wise. So please don't, you have nothing to say to me. if you think that you need to have all these credentials, because you don't. All it is going to do is cost you more money to maintain them. And a lot of you haven't even gotten your first job yet. And you're going to be sitting there struggling. And you're going to be making the same thing as somebody who has only one credential. The same thing. So, with that said, y'all need to think about that. Okay? Don't come up in this industry thinking that you need to get a bunch of credentials or that you need to be a specialty coder. Okay? Now, I like orthopedics. I have gotten very good at orthopedics and podiatry because I've been in it for so long. But can I go anywhere? Yes. Do I claim that I am a orthopedic specialty coder? No, I can code for anything. My credentials say so. I have the CCSP, the Certified Coding Specialist Physician Base, and I have the CCS, the Certified Coding Specialist. I have the Mastery Medical Coding Certification with the CCS. So I can go anywhere, inpatient or outpatient, and I can do anything. And that's the difference, okay? And that's the only way you're going to be able to have lots of opportunity is by making sure that you are educating yourself and educating yourself well. Don't get taken advantage of by these programs that promise, oh, you'll have a teacher. And I've gotten those messages before. They promised me a teacher and then the teacher didn't teach me anything. Well, that's what they do. That's what some schools do. Not all schools, but some will do that. Okay? So that's just what I want to say there. But when you're getting in and you find your first job, whatever you find your first job in, and I recommend trying to find a job that will utilize all of your skills in diagnosis coding and in CPT, ICD-10 PCS, if you have that. Some of you won't, and that's okay. But at least get in a job that is going to make you use your diagnosis coding, your evaluation and management coding, and procedures coding. At least try to get a position like that right out of the gate. Because I know some of you want to do risk adjustment right out of the gate because you think that it's easier to do. Oh, I can do this, it's easier. But what happens with risk adjustment is that it's just diagnosis coding only. Now, some people will say, oh no, it has a CPT. Traditionally, HCC coding is diagnosis coding only. Because it is diagnosis coding only, you are not practicing evaluation and management, you're not practicing procedures, you're not practicing modifier application. So what happens to you then? When you don't have practice and you're trying to move on from that HCC position, I have seen the job listings that say that if your only experience has been in HCC, that doesn't count. Only because it is just diagnosis coding. They need you to be able to do everything, okay? So that is my advice. You don't want to listen to it. You think I'm being mean to you? All right, go ahead. Nothing I can do. Not a thing that I can do for you then. Good luck on your journey. There's nothing I can do. I'm just trying to help y'all to know that yes, you actually can start off in a job that is evaluation and management, it is minor procedures, major procedures, it is inpatient. I know, because I've written resumes for people who didn't believe either. And they were like, oh no, I think I need to do HCC. I told this one lady, you don't need to do HCC. You have lots of knowledge. You need to be in a regular clinic setting. She came to me for her resume, and guess who got a job? In doing evaluation and management and procedures and all of these good things. The things that she wanted to do. But she thought she had to do HCC first. She did not. She did not. You see what happens when you have a well-written resume? I'm just saying, you know. But anyway, with that said, I just want you guys to be prepared. Be prepared, okay? Learn everything. And don't come in thinking that you were going to be a specialty coder and that we're like doctors where you have to decide on a specialty. You do not, okay? And you only need one of these four, the CCS, CCA, CCSP, or CPC. Any one of these four you can start with for the first 2 years, and you'll be just fine. You can have that same credential for years if you want to. and you can still make really good money. Because how do people make money in this industry? And don't ask me about specific dollar amounts, but how do people make money in this industry? By having knowledge and experience. That helps. I'm just saying. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see y'all next time.